Let's talk about the difference between emotional intelligence in men and women. Instead of making the opposite sex wrong and diminishing our point of view of men, ladies, let's really understand our psychological and brain differences. Our operating systems are as different as apples and oranges. It's as different as comparing a Mac to a PC or an Android to an iPhone. They are totally different, unique systems. Women, emotionally, generally speaking, are very external in their process. They're going to go outward. They're going to seek a friend, a mentor, a wise woman to give them emotional validation, which can be very healing when done in a small amount. So they're looking to be witnessed, understood, seen. They're seeking out sympathy, compassion, empathy. They're wanting to just be recognized and just felt. Now, a healthy female in her outward expression who is processing in this style is only going to seek reflection from one or two people. And then she's going to go inward and do that work to pull out of emotional chaos or victimhood with the end goal in mind of being back at peace or homeostasis and having the tools or the strategy rather to get through what she needs to get through with this problem or this issue or this grief that she's dealing with. So when a woman becomes undone emotionally, and I mean, guilty as charged, it's happened. I am definitely not perfect. And I've gone into that place of just emoting, right? You start to go into what we call a loop. And that loop is your brain on emotional dependency. It is now drugged into wanting more empathy, more sympathy. In fact, it wants so much to feel in pain that there's not enough validation that could simply set you free. This is your brain on emotions, emotional chaos gone wrong. That's not healthy. That's not sound. It's not productive. And it's certainly not healing, right? So there's an amount of being witnessed that can cause a moment of transformation for a woman. And then when she just keeps seeking more and more and more, her brain is unresolved about something. And now it's actually seeking to satisfy that negative emotion than it is to actually have a solution and have a way to move forward in life. Okay. So when men see a woman become emotionally undone and she seeks counsel in him, she immediately projects onto him 9 times out of 10, I want you to be a woman. I want you to reformat yourself. And I want you to do exactly what my best friend or my sister or my female mentor would do and say. And I want you to hold all this emotional space for me and let me be in my chaos and don't make me wrong. It comes with all of these parameters. Well, that is like putting bondage over a man. You are actually asking him, stop operating the way that your brain operates. Now pretend to be a female, and I'm going to judge you on your performance level. This is a sticky Chinese finger trap. It's such a trap. Men do not walk into that trap, and women stop setting that trap up for men. Men are much more internal processors, right? So they're going into an internal schematic. They are analyzing the data, and they're much more giving themselves their own advice, their own keywords. They're looking at where what went wrong and most importantly, how to fix it. This is a survivor mechanism. In fact, a man who's really good at solving problems, who's really good at strategy, is going to be really good at financial provisions. And that's one of the major pressures that a man has more than a woman in society, right? So when a man goes internal and he becomes quiet or he becomes very frank and very concerned about solving or fixing a problem, that's because he's operating as a man should. His survival instinct has turned on, in which he's analyzing a situation and he sees what he doesn't like. He's discerning and he's showing you this is how you can fix it and this is how you can move forward with that, because his end goal in mind is to keep you happy, healthy, alive, and thriving. And he knows that if we waste too much time having a pity party, being full of self-loathing, that we're going to miss out on vital opportunities in our life. Life is fragile. We have one life to live. And stewing in our emotional chaos can be really unhealthy, and it can create an unsound mind and an unsound environment for your partner to thrive in as well. So often women mistake that when a man goes quiet, when he goes silent, let's say you presented him with a problem, or let's say he's just in his head about something. It's not bad that he's quiet. It's not bad that he's unresponsive. It's that if he cares about you, he took what you said. Maybe you gave him a complaint. Maybe you corrected him and set a boundary. Maybe he's filled with shame, or he's filled with remorse, or he's filled with even anxiety about how am I going to come up with what to say and an action step to prove I care, to prove I love this person, for example, right? So a man will become quiet. He will go internal with his processing. So an internal processor does not mean less than, and it certainly does not mean stupid, and it doesn't mean he's lacking an emotional intelligence. Number two, of course you can go to a man when you need to be emotionally held, but you need to have an entire emotional support system outside of your man, because he has the pressure of providing for you, of coming up with the finances. And that is so much in the world that we're living in. So it's your job to not have all of your emotional stressors be projected onto him. That's not what he's there for. He's there for that some of the time, not all of the time. I think that's really important for a healthy, balanced union that's going to last, right? And lastly, I want to say, when you utilize that a man is a problem solver, I would much rather go to my female friends in my corner about my emotional distress, and then go to my man about a problem he can solve for me. Okay. So really utilize him to be that strategy, navigator. He's the compass. He can take you somewhere in life. Lastly, I've never met a man who had high EQ and was really well equipped at emotional mapping, getting to the root of a problem, expressing his feelings, emoting his feelings, crying, and sharing himself, that was equally stable and had sustainable financial provisions. I have never met that guy who has that ability, who's also got really sustainable finances. Okay? We have to stop feminizing men and stop projecting our operating system onto how they think and process. We need to take the wool off of our eyes and stop thinking men are the lesser sex and that they're stupid and that they're underdeveloped and, they don't get it. Okay? So a man can be just as high functioning, emotionally intelligent, and composed. Men love a woman who has composure. Let's face it, ladies, that's not always easy for us when we're in our feelings. Men who are composed does not necessarily mean that they're repressed. They could be repressing emotions. They could be repressing trauma. Totally. But also, composure is a skill set, and he needs that to navigate the world and to make money so he can provide and spoil you. So be particular when you go to emote on your man. Know that his go-to is going to be your problem solver. And know that when he's silent, when you set a boundary, or when you are, telling him something you don't like, he's thinking about it because he cares about you. And he's planning internally how he's going to shift himself to show up for you differently. So it's going to require you really trusting when you're in that space of his silence. Yes, men could learn to say, I'm thinking about that, or I'm processing it, but they just typically don't say that out loud. Maybe over time, if you've taught and showed your man that that's really helpful for you, he'll start to train himself, but it's something he has to be trained in. It's not something that comes naturally to him. So I hope this helps someone. The more we understand the opposite sex operating system, the more we can come together and make really amazing unions that last over time. I love you guys so big.